What's up, everybody? Destination Eddie here. We are here at the Union Station Hotel to do the AmeriGhost. It's going to be a haunted hearse tour, guys. This building is old. It's awesome. I cannot wait to do this tour, guys. It's going to be amazing. It's an open top tour hearse where we get to sit inside the back where the coffin is and take a tour around the town. All right, let's see what spooky things we see.
But I am Matthew. I am your ghost host this evening, your Thundertaker. Tonight I'm taking you guys on a haunted and historical tour of the town. Now, like I said, the tour is a little over an hour. It's about a 7-mile round trip. Now, everything you guys are going to see tonight is researched and verified by 3 different sources: books, articles, interviews with eyewitnesses, including my own eyes. And I'll be sharing you some of my own personal ghost stories, as well as bizarre things that have actually happened here on the tour. And while you guys are on the tour, be sure to take a lot of pictures and be on the lookout for orbs. Orbs are white little balls. They're actually the spiritual trails of the dead. I practiced this in the mirror this morning. How'd I do?
Very good.
You get an A. You get an A.
Third fingers. And I'll take your laughter as a sign of approval, because while it's a tour, it's also a performance, so gratuities are appreciated, but more importantly than that, I like to make things a little bit extra scary for you guys. While we utilize the PA speaker for most of our stops, there's a couple times I can get out safely, because no good ghost ever begins with, and then he was hit by an Uber, or a scooter, or a bachelorette party on a pedal tavern. Spoilers, guys, those things are motorized. The pedaling does nothing. That's why you see the one girl likes the gerbil and the hamster wheel, and the other one just kind of cruising and boozing. About once a year, there's usually a gentleman that falls off of those things, and then in every case, in every story, he's always hit by a bus. He's always lived, so it's hilarious. If he died, he would just be in the back of that. Still kind of funny, though. What a way to go. So when I can get out of the hearse safely, I like to do so. It just makes for a more fun, more personalized experience. Like I said, it's a bit more scary, because guess what? You get to see this face a little bit more. So let's begin here at the famous Union Station Hotel. This is Nashville's original train station, built in the year 1900. Now, the gentleman who built it was a man by the name of Major Eugene Lewis. Major Eugene Lewis, a very serious man. He had quite the whimsical heart. You can see this in a lot of his designs. You can see the statue of Mercury there on top of the clock tower. Mercury is the god of commerce and travel. Makes sense for a train station. Also in the lobby of the train station at that time were alligators. Now, as you go into your train and seeing alligators and pools on the floors down below you. Now, I've seen ducks in a hotel in Memphis, the Peabody, but alligators, that's a little crazy even for me. Now, another interesting feature the building did have at that time was one of the world's first digital clocks inside the clock tower. Unfortunately for Major Eugene Lewis, it was the death of him. He spent days, weeks, months, years trying to fix the darn thing. He put up scaffolding, tried to fix it with his bare hands. It never quite worked right. After his passing, the place was a more traditional clock tower you see today. And in case you're wondering about Mercury up there, that's actually a recreation. The original fell off in a thunderstorm in 1947, 98-mile-per-hour winds. Mercury went flying halfway across the street. Now, people in that part of the building have since heard footsteps. There's sometimes their keys that stop working inside various doors, as if their keys are not meant for those locks at all. If you do happen to get inside some of those rooms, the door might slam shut behind you. You'll be stuck inside for a good 10 to 15 minutes at a time. They feel that that's the ghost of Major Eugene Lewis still trying to fix his clock tower. So if you folks have some extra time here in the city, I always recommend touring Mount Olivet Cemetery. A few of the ghosts we're going to be talking about tonight are buried there. Also, a lot of Nashville prominent figures like Captain Thomas Ryman, the namesake behind the famous Ryman Auditorium. Now, Captain Tom, he was originally a steamboat captain on the Cumberland River, so if you're looking for his grave, just look for the one that has a carving of a steamboat on it. That makes sense. If you're looking for Major Eugene Lewis, on the other hand, while he was an architect in life and death, he thought he was an Egyptian pharaoh. Seriously, folks, look for the 13-foot-high pyramid. This thing even has its own set of sphinxes. Train at the train station. Who would have guessed? So to tell you about our most famous ghost at Union Station is a beautiful young lady by the name of Abigail. Now, Abigail is married to a prominent lieutenant. This is back during World War II. Now they had a little bit of routine. See, he was one of the lucky few to come home every couple of months to report to his commanding officers about things that were needed on the front line. Supplies, troops, strategy, things like that. They were also lucky, a little bit unlucky, as they had a special apartment for them, commissioned for them on the 7th floor at that time. Imagine trying to live in a very active train station during wartime. This is where I get my most looks of disbelief. Floors 1 and 2 are beneath the lobby, so from our perspective, floor 7 looks like floor 5. So the routine would go like this. You would see his train coming down the track, and run down for their apartment on the 7th floor, jump into his arms as soon as he set foot off the train. This happened all throughout the war, up until the war was almost finished. Well, when his train pulled up one evening, but it wasn't him that came out, it was a man holding a folded up American flag. Now, devastated, Abigail knew exactly what this meant and decided to end it right there. She intentionally walks in the path of the incoming train, killing her instantly. Now, poor Abigail has since been known to haunt the back loading platform here, still waiting for her husband to arrive. But as I mentioned before, they had the department on the 7th floor at that time. It's since been turned into room 711. Isn't that convenient? Now you guys can actually request Abigail's room. It's actually decked out in 1930s and 40s decor in her honor. I'm not sure I'm going to recommend it though, as you might wake up in the middle of the night with Abigail standing at the base of your bed, moaning, groaning, not even saying a single word. If you go to interact with her whatsoever, she'll turn around, walk towards the door, and completely vanish. So I guess you folks can say, I'll make the terrible joke again, that poor Abigail, well, she never checked out. One more before we head on away. In 1918, a train departed from the Union Station and headed towards Memphis. A train in Memphis headed towards Nashville. Now in the Belle Meade area of town, one of our nicer parts of town, that's where the Trader Joe's is. That one was known as Dutchman's Curve. Now the linesman working Dutchman's Curve didn't know the train from Nashville had already left that morning. He doesn't switch the tracks. These two trains collided head-on, causing the worst train wreck in American history, killing 181 people, injuring an additional 97. Now they ran to the doctors to send to the crash site folks and actually had to send butchers. Okay, that's one of the more morbid facts of the tour. Let's get that one out of the way early. Now, I always tell people, if you listen to me during the tour, I'll listen to you after the tour. If you want to tell me about your crazy Uncle Fester's haunted mansion, I love hearing about this stuff. Just remember, I do have another tour at 8:30. I did have one woman, she scared the hell out of me. Matthew! Okay, at that point the story was gone, and I was like, man, what's your question? Why did they send butchers to the crash site? Sure, we can go over that in more gory detail. Some people literally needed the arms amputated right there on the spot. Other people were stuck underneath the train wreckage. That was the only way to free them. I thought they were sending butchers to the crash site so they collect the meat so people could eat them. This is this woman's own answer to her own question. I'm like, no ma'am, this isn't some Soylent Green, Hannibal Lecter, Jeffrey Dahmer sort of thing. They just needed somebody that was good with a large and sharp knife. I have another question that this woman asked towards the end of the tour. It will make your mouth escape open. I was quite happy when that tour was over. Now it does get a little bit more tragic for the train conductor coming from Memphis. That was going to be his last ride no matter what. It was the final day before his retirement. Well, people have actually seen some of these early 1900 passengers finally arriving at their final destination. That's what, folks, Hearse goes in a loop. This is your final destination as well. Let's just hope this is not your last ride. But if you folks will follow me this way, your chariot awaits.
On the hearse.
You excited?
Excited.
Folks, there is only one way into a hearse, and that's it. And I will give you guys a spoiler. Most everything is on the left, so the bulk of you are going to want to.
All right, guys, the tour has begun. Let's do this.
Built in 2003 by an artist by the name of Al McGuire. Now, Al McGuire built in an extreme secrecy, and when he debuted to the citizens of Nashville, let's just say some of the more religious members of the community were not a fan of these gigantic naked people here in the middle of town.
Naked people.
Naked people.
Well, no, not you, Carnival Music, nobody cares about you. In fact, you cross the intersection. Art St. Victor, Studio B, the home of 1,000 hits. Everybody from the Everly Brothers to Dolly Parton to the Dixie Chicks have recorded here, including Boo Frandl, which is why I played Yaxie Sax, recorded here in this building. Now, also recorded here is actually 200 songs by Elvis Presley. Now, Dolly Parton also recorded here in this building, like I said. Not only did she record Jolene and I Will Always Love You, she also had her first ever hit. On her way to her first recording studio session ever, she accidentally crashed her car into the building.
Me. Okay.
So that's Studio B, mostly just used for tours these days. Over here on the left is Studio A. Studio A is still in operation. Everybody from Nashville 5 to Paramore have recorded here. And once again, coming up here on the left-hand side is Stars Drum Studios. It's the offices, the record label, and the recording company of the one and only Miss Reba McIntyre. But I'm going to be getting out of the hearse. I'll be telling you guys about a house that was on this land before Starstruck.
Objects being blown and thrown all about when the workers would arrive in the morning. Vents would be blowing cold air and was supposed to be blowing heat. Random employees could shivers down the back of their spines. Computers would go haywire. There's even one man who could not find his red spring-line stapler. That's from the movie Office Space. Just making sure you guys are still paying attention to me. I can't find my stapler. I'm going to burn this place to the ground. Now, here's the thing. They call him the psychic. She's like, I think you have a ghost. Actually, I think you have more than one. I feel that both these ghosts are very, very sad. See, the psychic believes that they are from the old Snell mansion that was on this land before Starstruck Studios was even here. Let me tell you about the tragic tale of Jacob Snell. See, Jacob Snell was a grain merchant born in poverty in Germany. Actually came into great wealth. There was a grain merchant business here in America, but this is also the height of Prohibition. He was doing bootlegging on the side. Now, we had two daughters, Lena and Bertha. Now we have a daughter named Bertha. You certainly want to give her a life you never had. So he purchases one of the largest, most beautiful homes here in the area. Spares no expense in a coming out party for the girls. The best linens, tablecloths, bands, musicians, food and hors d'oeuvres. They invite the entire town. Every socialite, dignitary they could possibly think of. But when it came time for the party, folks, nobody showed. Jacob was humiliated, moved to Germantown on the west side of the city, left the house with the two girls who pretty much became like hermits. Now he said, ladies, if you're gonna live in this beautiful mansion all by your lonesome, there's only one rule: something breaks, don't fix it. See, he wanted to stick to the neighbors where it hurts. How do you do that? But in the wallet, with property value. So they let this beautiful mansion just fall into disarray. Weeds would be falling off the roof. Shingles would be falling off the roof. Weeds would be all over the front yard. Windows would be busted open. Trash would be everywhere. See, one of the main reasons why they were snubbed is Jacob and his daughters were new money. This whole area of town was the old money. Now it gets bad to worse. About a decade later, a smell starts billowing out of the house. So wrenchy, we could probably smell it right here where we're parked. Somebody calls the health department. They went inside. Lena had been dead for weeks, and Bertha never alerted the authorities. So they took Lena to nearby Mount Olivet Cemetery, Bertha to a nearby women's group home. I was wondering if that guy was actually going to pull over there for a second. I was like, I'm about to die. I sure hope so. Now,
who put you back here?
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. I'll give you guys, though, let's go down a rabbit hole really quickly. You know who's also buried at Mount Olivet Cemetery? Joel Cheek. He was the founder of Maxwell House Coffee, also the head of the beautiful Cheekwood Estate, which is now a beautiful garden and art gallery here in Nashville. Apparently, they're supposed to have trolls soon. Now, being the Maxwell House Coffee guy, don't you think that Joel Cheek was probably get to the last drop? After Bertha's passing a few years after that, there's actually been reports of apparitions of two young girls, not only haunting the Snell Mansion, but also haunting the Capitol Records building as well. Where it's been said that Reba McIntyre herself has actually seen the apparitions. Now we're going to proceed on our way. I got one thing to ask and one thing to say.
Some of them were on the plane with us.
Yeah, you guys are in the back of the hearse, and that still is just weird to me. Now, we're going to proceed on our way, and a bit of good news. Our next site is going to be the site of a murder. And more importantly than that, who are you guys going to call? I'm afraid of no ghost.
Now, as we're on our way to the murder site, I want to tell you folks about another story of revenge, and this story has to do with Nashville hot chicken. Now, since we've already tried our hot chicken here in town, I have plans. There's a couple places worth mentioning if you haven't tried it already. There's Patty B's at multiple locations.
So guys, we are riding in the back of a hearse. We are doing the Hearse Ghost Tour in Nashville. This is awesome.
Hey, that's what it's called. Yes, I told you to go to hell, and now I told you to shut the clock up. Now, there's also Pepper Fire. They recently reopened, but where it all began is a place called Nashville Prince's Hot Chicken. Now, there was a real man named Prince. No, not the 1999 guy. This Prince was alive in the 1940s. Prince had quite a few problems. This did not go too often when he was actually living at that time. So when he comes in late one night, or should I say early one morning, she decides to cook him up some fried chicken for breakfast. Wanting to get a little bit of spicy revenge on old Prince, she decides to cover that fried chicken with cayenne pepper, chili powder, hot sauce, every other spice she get her hands into the kitchen. Thinking that'll give Prince a bad taste of indigestion he'll never forget. Now she served them that one morning, folks, and guess what? He loved it. And he decides to take that recipe as his own. So now Prince's Nashville hot chicken has been Civilicious hot chicken for most of the past 80 years. And in case you're wondering about that girlfriend, he kicked it to the curb. So if you guys do decide to try Delicious Nashville hot chicken or try it again, just remember it all started with a story of revenge. I love that song, but I feel it needs more cowbell.
Just a little.
Over here on the right, that's our Adventure Science Center, and currently, all these people are actually watching a Foo Fighters laser light show. I know those are still a thing, but that's kind of cool. Now, we're on our way to Nashville City Cemetery. I'll tell you guys a little bit about it. Now, it was originally founded in 1822, 204 years ago. Now it's home to about 20,000 residents, mayors, senators, as well as once even a president. The 11th president, James Knox Polk, originally died 31 days after he left office. Polk died of cholera, which you folks might not know. Cholera, yeah, that's violent diarrhea. Certainly not a good way to go out. So he was buried on a mass grave at Nashville City Cemetery. Now, when they deemed it was safe to move his body, he was buried at Polk's place, his homestead, in downtown Nashville. Now, people back in those days are too busy living history to be preserving it, so when his descendants sold off the home, the new buyer really didn't care to have a dead president in their backyard. I guess it didn't match the bushes. So he was buried in the location in the grounds of the Tennessee state capitol, where it's been said that Polk has been mourning by his gravesite ever since. Maybe it's because he's on his third resting spot, or maybe it's because Tennessee politicians have nothing better to do. One of the things they've been debating about in the Tennessee Senate is moving him to a fourth resting spot, to his boyhood home in Columbia, Tennessee, just south of here, feeling that his dead body could bring in some tourist dollars for that area. Now, if I was going to be at my fourth resting spot in over 175 years, yeah, I'd kind of be cranky about it too. Now we pulled into an adjacent parking lot here next to the cemetery. For those of you taking pictures, actually might capture a picture of an orb, maybe even an apparition. Now, who I feel this orb to be is a man by the name of Captain William Driver. Now, Captain William Driver was a famous sea captain on the Atlantic Ocean. Now, on his first maiden voyage, his mother and his female admirers made him a flag. He was so proud of this flag, folks, that he gave it a name. You actually might have heard of it. He named it Old Glory. Now, he had Old Glory waved at sea. He had Old Glory waved in his homestead of Salem, Massachusetts as well. And then after he gave up the sea captain business, he moved to Nashville, Tennessee. There was a tiny little problem. Nashville was controlled by the Confederacy at that time. So waving a gigantic American flag in their front porch, yeah, that wasn't the best of ideas.
So right now is the ghost hunting tour, guys, in a hearse.
Knocked on his front door and said, "Hey, take down that flag. You set over my dead body." But he was also a very smart man, had it hidden, and sewed inside a quilt in case they came back for it. Now, when the Battle of Nashville happened and Grant's forces came and kicked those Confederates out of town, Captain William Driver marched all the way up to the Tennessee state capitol, had that flag waved for all to see. This is said to be one of the most symbolic turning points in the entire Civil War. So naturally, that flag, Old Glory, is at the Smithsonian.
All right, guys, we'll talk to you guys later.
Washington, D.C. And as for our good friend Captain William Driver, well, he's buried here at Nashville City Cemetery, where people have said they've seen his orb and his apparition not only at the grounds of the cemetery, but people have actually reported seeing orbs flying around the flagpole at the Tennessee state capitol at night. So we're actually going to be heading towards the Tennessee state capitol area, but as we're on our way, I'm going to tell you guys about a couple of places on Broadway.
About the Hermitage Hotel, but beginning with the Tennessee state capitol behind us here. Now, beginning with the Tennessee state capitol, built in the 1860s, built by a man by the name of William Strickland. William Strickland was a famous Philadelphian architect who had just done restoration work on Independence Hall. He took the job thinking three things. One, it was going to be his masterpiece. I think it looks quite nice. Secondly, it was going to make him a lot of dough. And third, it was only take about 9 years. It takes 12 if he dies before it's completed. One of the main reasons why was a Tennessee bureaucrat by the name of Samuel Moore. Samuel Morgan's job was making sure William Strickland got done on time. Failed to do that. More importantly, stay under budget. So these two men fought. I do mean they fought. They fought over the marble flooring. They'd be having fisticuffs here in the courtyard. They fought with the chandeliers be rolling around the mud, cussing each other out. Their fights got so ridiculous, so out of hand that some days the workforce would just throw up their hands and go home. Considering that home was the Tennessee State Penitentiary, because most of the workforce were prisoners, you guys could tell it was a very hardy task to do. Tennessee State Penitentiary closed down in 1992, but if you want to take a look at it, pop in your VHS copy of the movie The Green Mile.
Yes.
It was used for exterior shots. Also used in the film Ernest Goes to Jail. It was actually included inside the west-hand side of the Tennessee State Capitol. Now, about 13 years later, there was a second man. He had a dying wish as well. His dying wish was completely out of spite. He wanted to stick it to William Strickland one last time, even in death. Guess who that is? Samuel Morgan. He's entombed right behind us on the left-hand side.
Oh my God.
Wow.
These two gentlemen hated each other in life. They hate each other in death. Around 9 o'clock each night, there's reports of two gentlemen arguing here in the courtyard. If and when the Tennessee State Troopers are called, a lot of the times they'll send the rookies. Most of the veterans, they won't bother going. They know they're not going to find anybody down there at that time. Now, if you feast your eyes up the bell tower, you might see Captain William Driver's orb flying around the flagpole, or inside the bell tower itself, you might see the silhouette of a woman. That's said to be the beautiful Mrs. Rachel Jackson. That name sounds vaguely familiar. It's the wife of Andrew Jackson. You know, the guy on your $20 bills. We'll be seeing a few of those soon. See, nowadays, we have Kim Kardashian, we have Beyonce, back in the 1820s, Rachel Jackson. Popular in the political circles, but also popular in the social ones as well. Tiny little problem. Married to another man before she met Andrew. Sends a letter to her first husband. I like this new guy, I want to marry him. Sorry, I have to divorce you. Have this paperwork submitted to the courts right away. He says, sure, toots, and then doesn't do a thing. Imagine how controversial, how scandalous it must have been when they found out the woman married the president-elect was still married to some other guy. Divorce was unheard of back in those days. This was the scandal of the century. So because of this, she is shunned in political circles. She is shunned in social ones as well. One of the more nice things the newspapers actually wrote about her and Andrew was, look at the new couple, Rachel and Andrew, walking down the streets of Nashville, walking down the streets of Washington, D.C. like they already own the place. Now he's a tall, slender man. She's a short, plump woman. Don't they look like a perfect 10 to you? Oh, you thought Fox News and CNN was rough? The news media has always been this way, if not worse. Now, sadly, this weighs so heavily on poor Rachel's heart, she passed away of heart failure shortly before Andrew's inauguration, which is one of the reasons why she wants the bell tower of the Tennessee State Capitol and not the White House. She never actually made it there. But then again, she's been famously quoted saying, I'd rather be a gatekeeper at the house of God than live in that palace in Washington. Well, she got her wish. Now, why did she haunt this building? Like I said, it was built 40 years after her passing. Well, the more you learn about paranormal, you'll start seeing things in common, and one of those is a fixation on statues. See, north of the bell tower is actually a statue of Andrew on a horse riding into battle. Tomorrow's 10 o'clock. So, even after all these years, she still likes to be near to the man that she loves.
Aww.
Now, as for Andrew himself, after he was done being president, he wanted to go live back at the Hermitage, their homestead just east of town. He would mourn at Rachel's gravesite each and every single night. Now, after Andrew passed on a few years after that, he didn't have the same types of mourners at his funeral, as there was one mourner that was actually kicked out for swearing and causing up a storm.
Oh.
That mourner just happened to be his parrot, Paul. Why was the parrot invited to the funeral in the first place? I'm still not entirely sure. Probably wanted a communion cracker, but I guess you guys can say that that parrot was using some foul language. Okay, just like the Werewolf of London joke that was sent to me on Facebook by my Aunt Lucille. And I'm like, Aunt Lucille, these jokes are horrible. I'll add them to the tour. Didn't have the heart to tell that a parrot's not actually a foul. All right.
Absolutely.
It's time to go. We are done. We made some new friends.
Had a great time.
Had a good time. Yes.
Very good.
I am Matthew with Nashville Hearse Tours. We've been family owned and operated since 2003. You can come see us every night, March 1st through the end of November. We run 7 o'clock, 8:30, and 10 o'clock every night. We'll take you all the way to the Tennessee State Capitol, the site of a murder, and even a cemetery. So come and check us out. Look us up, Nashville Hearse Tours. Just Google that, best way to find us. And then go follow us on AmeriGhost. We have tours all over the country.
Guys, it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend if you come down to the Nashville area, definitely do the tour. I'll put all the information in the description below. I'll post the link on there and I'll put their QR code. You guys have to come and do this. It's a lot of fun. And you're riding in an open air hearse.
You won't do that any more time in your life, you know.
Right? All right, guys, this was a great time. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up, guys, and we're ready. We're out of here.
Yes.
See ya, my friend.
See ya.